We all know exercise is important for our long-term health, but it can be a really difficult habit to maintain in the short run. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to increase your exercise habits using some behaviour modification techniques. This works whether you want to increase your exercise habits and you're already exercising, or whether you want to start from scratch because you're not doing any exercise at the moment. So the first step is to define what it is that your goal is, what it is that you want to target in your behaviour. The current recommendations are that you should try to be active most days of the week, and that you should try over a period of the week to accumulate about 150 minutes of exercise as a minimum. So that can be made up of 5 lots of 30-minute activities. So maybe you'll take the dog for a walk, or you go for a jog, or you meet some friends for a walk. Or you could just do that incidentally throughout the week, adding in some things. You might take the stairs rather than the elevator, walk to work, walk to the shops, things like that. What's most important in this stage is that you start small. You have a look at what activity you're currently doing and what it is that you want to achieve. Now, some activity is better than none. So even if you start with 10 minutes a day, that's a great way to start. But you want to start small. If you have a huge goal, like maybe you want to do a marathon or you want to do a triathlon, something like that, that's okay too. But that's a long-term goal. And what you want to work at is having small steps every week to just slowly increase your activity. So when you're defining what it is you want to achieve, you have to figure out how you want to measure it. So you could use time as a measurement. So maybe you'll use a sports watch or your phone, something like that, that you can measure how long it is that you're doing physical activity for. Otherwise, you can use something like steps. So most sports watches have a pedometer on it that will measure your steps throughout the day, and a lot of phones do also. So that's an easy way to measure. You can also measure in kilometres, so maybe you want to run 15 kilometres through the week and you want to run 3 kilometres here and 4 kilometres here, whatever that might be, or you could measure calories. So the second step is to write down what it is that you want to achieve and what you're going to do each day. I recommend personally that you write it down on a piece of paper and you stick it up on the fridge or in your bedroom or somewhere that's visible every day. You can use your phone and you can put it on an app. There's lots of apps to measure these things, but having it super visible makes the goal more likely to be achieved. You might have something like this that's really visible, that's out on the fridge, that has a mix of the activities that you want to do, exactly what you want to do. So it doesn't all have to be measured in time or distance or kilometres. You can have a mix. Choose things that are going to make you happy, but write down exactly what it is you want to do so you can hold yourself accountable. The third step is to manipulate the environment to make it more likely that you will achieve your goals and what it is you want to do. So we do this in 2 ways. One is by decreasing the effort it takes to exercise. So you want to make it easy for yourself to do it. Maybe you'll put your clothes at the bedroom door and your shoes there ready every night. So when you get up, there's no extra energy that needs to be spent. You just get your clothes and put them on. I really hate getting out of bed in winter. I might wear my clothes to bed. So when I get out of bed, all I have to do is put my shoes on. This makes it easier for me to achieve my goals because I've got a whole less step to do that I normally would have to do. Or maybe if you're working from home, you might wear your clothes. Do you work on your computer, have a little break, be able to walk out the block, take the dog for a quick walk? Whatever that is, you have to try and make it easy for yourself. The other part that you want to do is make the competing behaviours more difficult. So a competing behaviour is something that you might do instead of exercising. For example, watching the television or staying in bed, reading a book, something that you might choose to do rather than that. So we want to make that more difficult to do. So for example, if you often stay in bed and don't hop up and go exercising, you want to make it more difficult for yourself to stay in bed. So the night before you go to sleep, you might put your alarm clock on the opposite side of the room, because then when your alarm's going off, you either have to lay in bed listening to it or you have to hop up and get out of bed and turn it off. And then you're already out of bed, so it's more likely you're going to go and exercise. If maybe you come home from work and you plan on going for a run or going to the gym or something, but you get stuck eating dinner, watching the television and not exercising, it might be a good idea just to remove that temptation. So on the way home from work, you stop off at the gym, or straight from work, you go for a run before you go home. So that means we're making that behaviour more difficult to engage in while making the exercise a bit easier. The fourth step is to reinforce and reward yourself. This is especially important initially. So we all know exercise is good for us in the long run, but what we want to do is reward ourselves for doing a good job now. So it makes it more likely that you're going to go and do the exercise. For example, when you choose to go out for a walk or a run in the morning, you might reward yourself by grabbing a coffee on the way home. But if you don't get to go for a run or a walk in the morning, you won't be able to grab that coffee. So you've just incorporated that into your day and rewarded yourself for going and doing exercise. You could also use music to listen to or an audio book, and that's especially useful if you only use that when you're exercising. For example, you might choose a book that you really want to read or listen to, and you only can listen to that book when you go out for a walk. That means that you'll enjoy listening to the book when you're exercising, so exercising becomes more enjoyable. And it also means that you might go and exercise more because you're looking forward to listening to that book, and that's your only opportunity to do it. The fifth step is to get some social support. Get your friends involved. They can check in how you're doing with your new exercise program. And if you can get them involved to do the activities with you. It's much more likely that you're going to go and exercise if you have a friend to meet than if you're going to go by yourself, because you're far less likely to let your friend down than you are to let yourself down. You can also use social support by joining a gym or a run group or something that's going to make it fun and that you're going to meet people that want to do the same thing as you, which is going to keep you interested in doing the activity. If you don't have those things, then there's online communities that you can join and they will all help you, or you can use social media like Instagram or Snapchat. I have a group of friends and every morning we send a picture of our watches, of what we've done for the day, for the morning, of our activities, and it helps us encourage each other, it makes us accountable, and it rewards each other because we'll say what a great job, or I have to message them and say, well, I slept in this morning, which makes me more likely to get up in the morning as well. Now, the last step is to evaluate how it's all going. Every day, you want to go back to your chart and you want to mark off what you've done. For example, you might go and highlight every day that you do an activity, or otherwise you'll cross it out and write that you haven't done. If we look at our sheet again, you can see that we have highlighted these bits that we have done and we've left out the bits that we haven't done. So, for example, when we look on Wednesdays, this gym class just has never happened. And maybe this is because you've been trying to go early in the morning and mornings just aren't working for you. Or maybe because the gym isn't what you want to do, that you'd rather go for a walk with the dog, or you'd rather go out with your friends in the morning, that maybe a change of activity would be the best thing for you to do. Or maybe your reward system just isn't strong enough. Maybe if you planned to go to the gym and then go and grab sushi afterwards for dinner, that you'd be more likely to go and do this activity. Or you could even get your friend involved, which would again make it more likely that you'd engage in this behaviour. So you want to look at your chart, look for any differences, look for any patterns, and see what you can change to make your goals easier to achieve. So a quick recap. First, you're going to make a goal and you're going to define exactly what it is you want to do. Second, you're going to write it down and make it super visible. Stick it on the fridge, in your bathroom, in your bedroom, whatever's going to be easy for you. Third, you're going to manipulate the environment to make it easier to achieve exercising, and then you're going to make it more difficult to participate in those behaviours that are competing with exercises. Fourth, you're going to reward and reinforce yourself for the good work that you're doing. Make sure you reward yourself every day, and you can have those long-term goals, but make sure that every time that you exercise that you've got some sort of reinforcement. And fifth, get some social support, involve your friends. They'll help you be accountable and they'll make it much more fun to exercise as well. And lastly, you're going to measure and you're going to evaluate how you're going, why things aren't working, and what you can do to make those things easier and what you can change to make those habits better for you. I hope that these tips help you increase your exercise and figure out the best way for you to enjoy physical activity.